Hello, 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 and welcome to Inspiring Moments, the Dr. Amy Show. I am your host, Dr. Amy Himes, and thank you for joining us today. This is my dream. I get to live my dream as I come to share some great information with you. This show is about you. This is a success strategy show, and our goal is to help you to reach personal success. Now, I am a practicing psychologist, a success coach and business owner, and I specialize in helping people to change their mindset and their behavior. So what we want to do on this show, the show is about inspiring you to reach for your dreams. So sit down with us, take a moment, get a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, whatever it is you enjoy, and sit back with us for the next 30 minutes because we want you to look at this show as your portal to success. And today we have a great show for you. We did a show a while ago on the law of attraction, and I had a guest, Dr. Nicole Cutts, and it just seemed like the time went by so fast. So I told her, you know what, you'll have to come back. So this show we're doing is in addition to the law of attraction, and we're going to talk about today and concentrate solely on how you can create a vision or a dream board to activate the law of attraction. So we'll narrow in on one of those suggestions that we made from the law of attraction show. So let me tell you what a vision board is. We hear so much about all these things since The Secret came out, but let me tell you, it's not a secret. Get on board. You can live your dreams. A vision board, which is also called a dream board, is just a collage of words and pictures depicting your dreams and your goals, and is usually specific to one aspect of your life, but you can make it as big as you want. It can be a dream board, a dream book, a dream screen. I have a dream wall in my office, so whatever you want to make out of it. But a vision or a dream board really can set you on a path to achieving your dreams and goals that may have previously eluded you. Now, the key to success and the key to having a successful vision board is to post it or place it somewhere when you can look at it all of the time. I have a vision wall, dream wall in my office. I have a board in my bathroom. I have one going down the hallway from upstairs. So this dream board or vision book, it's something that can inspire you, and it should contain pictures of all of the things that you want for your life. It's a way to define your dreams and goals in pictures, images, and words. Now keep this in mind, the subconscious mind actually works in pictures and images, so this is why a vision or a dream board is so effective. It's a good way, a good idea to make your board as visual as possible with as many pictures as possible. Now, let me tell you, successful entrepreneur and author John Assaraf, and you may know him from the movie The Secret. Now, if you don't know who he is, go ahead and Google him and find out some more information about him. But I'm talking about him today because, one, I saw him in The Secret movie, and I had the privilege of interviewing him for my radio show. But let me share with you one of the things that he said, that he actually was talking with his son one day, and in May of 2000, John was working in his home office inside his beautiful new home in Southern California when his 5-year-old son came in and asked him what did he have in those dusty boxes in the corner of his home office. So John said he told him that it contained his vision board. So his son didn't understand at that time, what was a vision board. So John opened up one of the boxes to show him, and when he pulled out the second board from his box, he was so surprised. He began to actually cry, and he said on it was a picture of a 7,000 square foot house on top of a 6-acre spectacular land that he had actually pulled from the Dream Home magazine back in 1995. It was, but what was so amazing that it was, he had just purchased that exact house a few weeks prior. You know, it was definitely a sure testament to the law of attraction at work. Actually, take a moment to watch this video. It's an interview with John Assaraf talking with Larry King on his show. So take a moment to watch this interview.
When I came into my office today upstairs, on my door was a vision board. We saw the kids, it had the wife, it had the job, the palm trees for retirement.
It's a time
palm
child.
trees, okay. And would you, what are vision boards? And I understand you have a story about this with regard to visualization.
Many years ago, I looked at another way to represent some of the materialistic things I wanted to achieve in my life, whether it was a car or a house or anything. And so I started cutting out pictures of things that I wanted. And I had put those vision boards up, and every day for probably about just 2 to 3 minutes, I would sit in my desk and I would look at my board and I'd close my eyes and I'd see myself having the dream car and the dream home and the money in the bank that I wanted and the money that I wanted to have for charity. 5 years later, my one son, Keenan, came up to my office and he sat on the boxes and said, you know, Daddy, what's in the boxes? And I said, they're my vision boards, and they've been in those boxes for 5 years. And so he didn't understand. So I pulled out one of the vision boards after opening up the box, and there was a nice car and another little trinket that I wanted to buy. And when I opened up or pulled out the second vision board, there was a picture of the home that I was living in right now.
That's right.
That I'd been living in for a year, had renovated it, and didn't even know. I swear to God.
He phoned me. He phoned me within 2 or 3 minutes of that. And I saw it on the board.
The house that I live in.
So what did you think about that? You see, it works. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can think you're small or you can think you're big. The law of attraction works for you. So why don't you just start thinking bigger and start today by making yourself a dream board? And Dr. Cutts is going to help me to teach you how to do it. But before we even get to that, let me tell you something, remind you of something. In the book, As a Man Thinketh, now this is a classic book that was written back in 1902 by James Allen. And let me tell you, if you hadn't read this book, you need to go to the nearest bookstore and get it. Well, he took an idea from a scripture in the Bible, in the Old Testament. Actually, I think it was Proverbs 23:7, that says, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And he did that to amplify the fact that what you think is what you become. We're literally what we think about. We ourselves are the makers of ourselves by virtue of the thoughts which we choose to focus on. So in other words, man is made or unmade by himself, and our human character is the complete sum of all of our thoughts. Each and every one of your action comes from the hidden seeds of your thoughts. Now, this is so important. I just want to take a moment to actually read a quote from his book. So listen to this. This is what Mr. Allen said. Quote, man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and it will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seed will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which actually requires, so may a man tend the garden of his mind, weeding out all the wrong, the useless and impure thoughts, and cultivating toward perfection. These are the flowers and the fruits of the right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life, and he also reveals within himself the laws of thought and understands the ever-increasing accuracy how the thought forces and mind circumstances and destiny works. Oh, I just love that passage. Now, this is very important. This is a very important point here, and I need for you to get it. Your own thinking actually makes you. And this is why we use dreams and vision boards to inspire us. So I have back with me today Dr. Nicole Cutts. And what I'm going to say to Nicole this time is just welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Amy.
So for
Thanks.
those viewing audiences, for those people who didn't have a chance to see you on the past show, if you would just tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm a clinical psychologist and a success coach, and I also, like you, work in organizations doing coaching and training and consulting in organizations.
Yes. Well, welcome here. We want to get right down to the nitty-gritty in this show, and we want to share how to actually make a dream board, what a dream board is, show some examples of it. Now, let me just ask you something. Why do you actually think it's so important to have something like a vision board?
Well, I think it's important to keep what you want in front of you so that you can focus on it and focus on it often. And you talked about the law of attraction in the show that I was on before, and that's one way to attract to you what you want is by focusing on it.
Yes.
In a positive way.
Right. And now you heard me bragging about I have a vision board, a vision wall, I have one in the bathroom, I have one going down the hallway. I know you have some too. And before we even get started, let us just actually show you what a vision board is actually like. Now I'm going to pull up, this is one of those simple things where this is a small one. If you can look at this, this says that the biggest adventure you can ever have is to live the life of your dreams. I need to see this every day. So something as simple as this, as you can see, it's a picture of me on my vacation spot in the Bahamas. It's a picture of my condo. And then this picture in casual clothes just telling me this is freedom. This is freedom, so nothing else actually matters. But I also want to remind myself that I want to get to the point where I can travel in luxury private jets. So the way to do that is through my speaking, through my book, and then through that, I am attracting to myself. You see that airplane right there? That's how I'm going to be traveling. You see that limo right there? That's how I am going to continue to travel. And you see that big boat right there? That's where I'm going to take my friends all the time. You want to come?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm there.
So something as simple as this, where I get to see every time I go downstairs, upstairs, I get to see this. The biggest adventure you can ever have is to live the life of your dream. So something like this, when I'm having a bad day, I don't focus on that. It takes me right back to the simple things. So of course it's show and tell. Let's see one of your, we have to then look at one of your little boards.
Well, I brought a book.
A book,
I brought my vision book. You mentioned that there are a lot of different names for these tools. There's a treasure map, vision board, dream book. And it's funny the quote that you just read, because the quote on the front of mine says, "Dreams are planted in the secret garden of our heart, and one day they will blossom into reality."
Yes.
So this is my book. And what I did was I used a 3-ring binder and plastic sleeves and made they're essentially miniature vision boards.
Okay.
And I collage them. Usually vision boards are collaged, you know, as you've mentioned. And this is really just about my lifestyle, being relaxed, tranquil.
And I like that, relax and live and love and laugh and recharge. And when you see this all of the time, how can you not relax and live?
Well, I
and
have to
love
be
and
reminded.
recharge?
I have to be reminded.
You
know, and that's why I have it, because you can get caught up in the day-to-day and you can forget that you don't really have to struggle.
Let's see some other pages in your vision book.
Well, let me see. This is a picture of my family.
Yes.
This is to remind me where I came from, because that's an important aspect. And also that's love. You know, that represents love for me. And then I have a vision of peace.
Yes.
So I did some painting also. And you don't have to be an artist. I happen to be an artist. You do not have to be an artist to make a vision board. So this is for peace. This is also about love.
Yes.
And this is an Adinkra symbol that represents love. And then I'll skip over to one of my work pictures. This is a picture having to do with work. Again, notice, I don't know if you can see this, she's not struggling, she's relaxing and working at the same time. That's one of my visions.
That's ultimate freedom. Yes.
I'm trying to see if there's a, oh, and then also it's important to put things that have happened in your life.
Yes.
So I put an article from a magazine that I was in about my art. I put that in here because it's important, like you said before when we talked about the law of attraction, to show gratitude for what has come.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to get caught up in always thinking when, then I'll be happy. We're living our visions right now.
We're living within it. And it's interesting that you said that, because about 6 months ago, I realized that, oh my goodness, it's like I'm living in a bubble.
Yeah.
So, and why I say that is because I get to the point where I have these dreams and I have these goals, and sometimes you forget you already attained that.
Yeah.
You have it. You're living in
Right,
it.
exactly.
So what I had to do is I went back and I took a picture of my childhood home that I grew up in, 8 by 10. I framed it, and right beside it, you know what I put, right? The house that I'm living in right now. Because sometimes we're inside it and we only see it when we drive. This was a dream, many, many years of hard work, and I believed it, and I need to see it, where I came from and where I am. And with that, how can you not be grateful? Every day I wake up, and it's so funny, I heard somebody say, oh, I wake up every morning, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's morning already. I wake up every morning, I'm like, thank you, Father. Thank you for this beautiful day. Oh, birds, I hear you. I hear you out there. Thank you for coming to join me. And how can you just not have a great day when you're starting your day off like that? So a vision board can actually do that for you. And also you want to watch too the things that you're doing before you go to bed, so you can wake up in a good mood. But let's get back then and talk about this vision board. How can we actually get started with creating the board? What would you say is the actual process to getting started?
I like the collage process, and it's very simple. And as a matter of fact, Amy, I do this with organizations and in corporations. I've had some of the most serious, scientific-minded people in a room, grown people, doing vision boards.
Now
it's
that's
fun.
a little different now.
It's fun.
And they pay you to do that.
They pay me to do that, and they have a good time. And it's a good way to get everybody in your organization on the same page about what your vision is for the organization.
I like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good way then to help an organization. What about someone who is really hoping and wanting to leave that organization and start their own business? Say someone who wants to be an entrepreneur. How do you think a dream board would actually help them, and what would be some recommendations that you would give?
Okay, well, the first thing I would say is get clear on what your ideal scenario is for yourself in your career. Okay, and I do suggest to my coaching clients to write it out first. You know, just stream of conscious, positive. And then when you get to the vision board, I like the collaging method. So get a bunch of magazines that you like, some scissors, some glue, some cardboard, and just start cutting out pictures that you like and what you want to see. It's easier if you do for one area of your life at a time. So let's talk about being an entrepreneur. What's your ideal vision for your business? And as much as you know, as much as you're clear about, put that on there.
So let me ask you, what might be some things that you can recommend? Because I find that a lot of people are just blocked. You want to be an entrepreneur. What might be some recommendations of some pictures and some things that you might want to have on your board?
Well, you certainly want to look at other successful entrepreneurs.
Number one, yes.
So I have another vision board, actually. I'll just show you quickly, that I used. This one I did recently. And this has to do with different aspects of my life, but like you, here's a woman who, and it says the Entrepreneur Startup Guide, right? So that represents for me, I don't know what she's doing, but that represents that she's fairly successful because she's riding in the back of the car, not driving in the front seat in Beltway traffic. So, and Susie Orman, who is a great businesswoman and very inspiring. So just put whatever attracts you. That's what I suggest to people.
I love that. And as you hold that there, I'm thinking about one of the things that I have on my vision wall, my dream wall. When I first started my business, this was years ago, you know, you're dreaming big, and I'm like, you know, Heavenly Father, there's so much that I want. And I said, you know what, if I can just stand shoulder to shoulder with Oprah Winfrey, then maybe I can accomplish some of the things that she's accomplished on a smaller level. Now, I'm not in competition with her, obviously,
well, not yet.
but why she has a business, I said, I'm going to have a business. She had a TV talk show. I said, I'm going to have one day. Here we are. She was on radio. I was determined. I didn't know how, but I was going to be on radio. So what I did, I took a picture of Oprah, and I snapped a picture of me, and I put it on my dream board, shoulder to shoulder with Oprah. And I'm so happy to say that that is the picture that's going to be pictured, my picture in my first book that's actually coming out on September 16th.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
So, think it, and you can bring it to fruition. But you have to first think it. If you don't think it, it's not going to happen.
If you don't believe also.
Yes. And talking about that, one of the other things that I think is very important is, as I just said, if you don't think it, that's not my norm to say don't. I always focus on what I want to do. So I tell people, eliminate the word don't, not, and no. Think about all of the times you tell your kids what they can't have. Don't slam the door. Don't do this. Why don't you say, sweetheart, why don't you close the door quietly? Instead of saying to your spouse, don't forget the milk, don't forget the bread. Why don't you say, sweetheart, why don't? You know, I remember to bring home the milk and bread when you come home. So it's those little things like that that makes a big difference. When you say remember, he or she may look at it like, oh, my partner is helping me out. But when you say, don't forget the bread, that sounds like a mother.
Nagging.
Nagging, absolutely.
Well, you're also talking about using abundant language. We're talking about creating abundance, and we've talked about putting out in the universe what you want to get back. So you're putting out abundant language when you speak positively.
Absolutely.
Like that.
Now, I know one of the other things that's very important too is, you know, talking about affirmations. I know affirmations is very important, and we have about a minute before we go to our first break. Just your thoughts on that, affirmations, and how that actually helps once you actually have your vision board.
Okay. Well, you can write affirmations on your vision board. That's one way. You can say affirmations to yourself.
Now, let's just talk, what is affirmation?
An affirmation is like, you're affirming what you want. You're affirming something that's positive. And I think it's important to affirm your success even before it happens in the physical reality. So when you put affirmations on your vision board, it might be something like, here I am in my beautiful condo in the Bahamas after having a successful show. You know, so you're just affirming, and you also want to put things in the present tense, because creative visualization is not about how you're going to get there. It's seeing it in its present tense.
Right. Because, and why that's so important is, the brain does not know the difference between reality and play. Imagination is so important. You know, you think about it with kids, or when we were kids, how important imagination was. Well, let me tell you, as adults, that's just as important, because the brain does not know the difference between real and imagination. So as you're looking at these pictures, it doesn't know that that's just something you're desiring. It doesn't know that. So that's what these vision boards does, is actually tricks this old way of thinking, this brain, and actually helps us to get to where we want to go. Well, right now we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll show you some samples, some additional samples of some actual vision boards. What I did, actually went to the internet and took some pictures of some vision boards that inspired me, and Nicole and I are just going to bring those up and analyze them and talk about what makes those so special. So don't you go anywhere, and don't you touch that remote. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to the show. Today we're talking about how to create a vision or dream board to activate the law of attraction. And I have Dr. Nicole Cutts here with me, who is a success coach and clinical psychologist herself. Let me just remind you, a vision board is a collage of your dreams and desires, and it's only limited by the extent of your own creativity. So we showed you some of those dream boards that we've used that we actually use in our life. So these are your very own personal dreams. So make it big and make it impressive for yourself. Now, the general elements that a well-designed vision board should include would be things like, it should be visual. So make your board as visual as possible with as many pictures as you can. You can supplement your pictures with words and phrases to increase the emotional response you get from it. And also, it should be emotional. Each picture on your vision board should invoke a positive emotional response from you. So when you pass by it, you should feel something from it. So the mere sight of your vision board should make you happy and fuel your passion to achieve what's on that board every time you look at it. Also, so it should be strategically placed. Your vision board should be strategically placed in a location that gives you maximum exposure for it. You need to constantly remind your subconscious mind with what you desire in order to manifest your desire. So, Dr. Nicole, what do you think about all of this stuff? Now, another term that we hear all the time is the mind movies. Now, that one I'm not as familiar with. You're the expert. What do you know about mind movies?
It reminds me of guided visualizations.
Okay.
Shakti Gawain, who wrote the book Creative Visualization, talks about guided imagery.
Okay.
And so instead of just a static picture, like with the vision board, it's a moving picture, because hardly are we ever static.
Right.
So it's seeing yourself going through certain processes.
Okay.
And especially if it's something that you're nervous about. Like if I'm going to give a speech or something, I don't just see myself standing there. I see myself arriving there, going through the checkout, everybody being positive. So it's a progressive visualization.
Okay, well, great. And I'm sure that actually adds with when we see these emails and videos where people have words and pictures and music, and before you know, at least for me, I'm crying like, it touched my heart. So it's visual, mental imagery that's connecting you with something that's true to you. So let's put up some of these additional vision boards up on the wall. And the first one that you'll see here is actually Dr. Cutts' vision board. So let's look at that for a moment. And with that, yes, what is it? No, it's going to be on the board. What is it with this one that's showing right now? What made you come up with that? I see Oprah in the middle.
Yes. Well, it's about giving. It's about contributing something to the world.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a work vision, but the reason why I have that picture of Oprah offering flowers is because that's the idea of offering something and giving. And there are also other images on there, and they talk about contributing, and there's a Superman, because you kind of have to be a superhero.
You do.
And then there's a little bit of humor, because there's a young woman putting her hands in some concrete as if she's on the Walk of Fame.
Yes.
And she's dreaming about Oscars, the statues, in a bubble above her head, but that's not really the Walk of Fame. That's just a walk that was wet cement, and she went and put her hands in it. So it's a little bit of humor, but it's a picture of somebody who's dreaming also.
I love that. So let's look at the second picture. Now, this is interesting because this is one of the ones that I actually got from the internet, but this actually is a lot similar to the one that you sent to me. And again, it has Oprah in the middle. I hope you're looking there and you can see it, and some other very good things that will attract to someone and bring what they actually want. So that's a good one. So we've shared a whole lot with you today. This show always seems to go by so fast, so I really want to thank you for being here, Nicole. And what I want to say to you, vision boards are an important tool in your success toolbox. You know, they're cheap to make, and their potential value to you is just unbelievable, very high. So figure out what you want in your life and then commit yourself 100% toward making that first step of creating your vision board and activating the law of attraction to pull all of your dreams into reality. So thank you for joining us today, and be sure to send me your comments and questions to Dr. Amy, that's D-R-A-M-Y, at amyhimes.com. Send me your comments about the show topics that you want to hear more about. And also many, many thanks to you, Nicole, for joining me again for a second show. And thank you to my wonderful crew and to my dad out there in Charleston, South Carolina, who's my biggest fan. Thank you. And remember, everyone, we create a new dream by what we dream today. We create a new tomorrow, I should say, by the dreams that we dream today. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.